I decide to bet as a bluff here. I think he may have some weak aces or perhaps kings or jacks, and I don't want him to call with any of those weak aces, so I go huge. Welcome back to my vlog and welcome back to San Diego, California. When it comes to poker vlog content, there are generally two reasons why the viewer, you, would watch someone like me, the content creator. That's either for entertainment or education. Now we all know that you're probably here because of my ability to entertain you. Okay, maybe I'm not as funny as a Ryan DePaulo or as charismatic as, say, a Brad Owen or Andrew Nemi.
That's probably, somewhat accurate.
But what I do have is
knowledge.
And in exchange for this knowledge, all I ask is that you hit that like button and perhaps subscribe. Let's hop into my 5-10 no limit session at Hamul Casino, about 20 minutes from downtown San Diego. All right, as you can see here, we have a unique perspective in this hand with my buddy Patrick Curran coming to the casino with me, eventually sitting in the same game. So there's going to be a few shots like this from across the table, which is pretty unique, not normally seen in a poker vlog. Here in this first hand, I'm just taking my seat when I'm dealt Queen Jack of Hearts. We raise it up to 30, get a caller on the button, and a call from the small blind. Flop comes down 10-9-7 with two hearts, giving us a straight draw and a flush draw. We throw out a C-bet. Both players eventually fold their hands and we take down the first pot of the day. Okay, back to the traditional point of view camera, and we raise it up to $60 from the big blind with pocket kings. The end of the gun straddler on our left defends, and the flop comes down Jack 9. We check, he checks it back. In general, I find straddlers tend to over bluff versus the population, especially in positions, so our check is mostly to induce. But now that he's checked it back, our new plan is to make this a two-street hand. Turn is the ace of diamonds, so now it has become difficult to value bet our hand. So we abandon our plan to bet the turn and we opt for a check. He puts out $60 and we make the call. Can't exactly fold pocket kings for one bets in a spot where our opponent has a wide range. When we river the king of spades, an incredibly lucky card. So I decide to lead this one. Sure, if he has nothing, it's best to check here and play in flow. But I'm just hoping that he has an ace or better, because on this board, all aces are chopping, so I think I'll get a lot of calls leading here. We throw out a pot-sized bet, and he makes the call, actually flashing us a jack. Up around $300 and off to a good start when we open up Jack 9 of hearts, $60 in the cutoff. Button defends, and we go heads up to a dry flop of 10 deuce deuce. Put out a small C-bet of $50 into 135, and the button gets out of the way. Patrick is now in the game, so we will get a few cross-court camera angles from here going forwards. Picking up the action, we have pocket kings under the gun and open it up to $30. We find three callers, and after flopping a set on king 7 deuce with two clubs, we c-bet $40 and it folds around to the big blind. Good player, goes by the name of Cosmo. He calls. Turn is a 3 of clubs. Cosmo now checks, and here's a pop quiz. Would we rather have pocket kings in this situation or pocket 7s as the under the gun raiser? If you answer this correctly, congratulations, you intuitively understand ranging. The answer is pocket 7s. Holding pocket 7s, we unblock all of the top pairs that our opponent could have, but with pocket kings, we unfortunately block top pairs, which means now we have to wait our opponent to having flush draws on the flop, especially after he called my c-bet into four-way action out of position. So we check it back, and the river is the 5 of spades, and now Cosmo throws out $100. I honestly think we can fold here. It's just such a unique hand where he's going to show up with a flush almost all of the time. I mean, I guess I call it. When we open it up with king queen offsuit, there's a few calls and we face a squeeze, all in for $215. I decide to isolate the all-in player and make it $430 to go. Everyone gets out of the way and we are up against ace deuce offsuit. Board runs out ace high, and we are gonna lose this one. In this one, we open it up with king 10 of hearts for $30, 3 colors, and then Patrick calls in the cutoff. Flop comes down ace ace king. We check it over, and it checks all the way to Patrick, who throws out $60. I call, and everyone else makes the fold. Turn is a 4 of hearts. We check it, and Patrick throws out $135. I don't think he's gonna bet twice without having an ace here, so I quickly make the fold. All right, this is a fun hand. Weaker type opponent limps in early position, and Cosmo raises it up from the hijack to $50. This is an obvious 3-bet spot for us with 10s in the cutoff, but I want to play pots with the under the gun limper, so I decide to gamble and just call. Button now 3-bets to $200, and the button is an aggressive pro. His name is Nate, so he's going to have a fairly wide range in this spot, and I decide to call and take a flop with my 10s after it folds back to me. Pocket 10s is just way too good to fold in this spot pre-flop, so we call and the flop comes down horrible for our hand. Ace, queen, queen. We check, and Nate checks it back. Turn is a 6 of hearts, and we check again. Nate checks it back again. River is the deuce of heart, putting a possible backdoor heart flush on the board. My read of the situation is that Nate has some sort of showdown value because he checked all the streets. So I think our 10s are likely behind. Holding the 10 of hearts in my hand, I decide to bet as a bluff here. I think he may have some weak aces or perhaps kings or jacks, and I don't want him to call with any of those weak aces, so I go huge here. $700. Almost 2 times the pot. He ends up finding the call with ace jack with the ace of hearts. Holding the ace of hearts in his hand, he had the perfect hand to bluff catch. Good call by Nate and a bad river bluff by me. Now we open ace 10 offsuit to $30. Button calls and the big blind defends. Flop comes down all jacks. We c-bet tiny. Button folds, and we think the hand is over. Not realizing the big blind had called pre-flop, he now calls on the flop. Turn is a 6 of clubs, and it goes check, check. River is a 5, and the blind now leads out for $30. Easy to bluff catch for that sizing. Only need to have the best hand around 20% of the time, so we make the call. And end up beating out an inferior ace high. This next hand is very interesting. So I've played with the villain in the hand. His name's David. I don't necessarily want him seeing how I played this hand against him. Good players are very savvy with extra info, and if you're watching David, you're welcome for this. Starts with David opening it up to $30 from the hijack and us 3-betting the button to $90. David calls and we go heads up to an ace high flop. He checks and we check it back. It's great to have some of these medium strength aces in our check back range here. So when the turn comes to 3 of hearts and he leads for $75, we have an easy call. River comes to 9 of spades and he now bets more than the size of the pot, $500. I take a second to think about it. Specifically, having the ace of spades and the jack of hearts is a nice bluff catching combination. Reason being is because we block a few suited combos containing a 10, like jack 10 of hearts and ace 10 of spades. So after giving it a few seconds of thought here, I decide to toss in the call, and he instantly mucks it. It's not enough to get us in the green, but a small little uptick before heading to the cashier and cashing out $4,670. So losing $830 on the session. And the next day, Patrick and I went to Tijuana, Mexico, so we could fire a few tournaments on GG Poker. I was having a little FOMO after seeing these other vloggers take down bracelets. I'm a legend! Unfortunately, I busted both of those bracelet events before the money. Patrick fared okay as he ended up cashing the $1,500 event for a little over $4,300. All right, guys, we busted the tournament in 7th place, and we cashed for $90.15. But the problem is that I was in for 3 bullets, so we made 15 cents, and that's not good at all. But a win is a win, so 15 cents is better than negative 90.